My name is Lucille Howley. I'm 26 years old. Just 5 minutes into my birthday party, my father smashed my cake onto the floor and screamed right in my face. No cake for this useless dropout. You wasted all our money and shamed this family like a pathetic coward. The whole room went dead silent. My mother kept filming. My sister Victoria smirked. 32 guests looked at me like I was filth. I smiled, stood up slowly, and said, "Funny. Let my sister stand up and tell everyone why she's been lying about me this whole time." If you're watching this right now, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Now, let me take you back and show you exactly how we got to that moment. When I was growing up in Newton, Massachusetts, there was a family portrait hanging in our living room. Professional photos, taken in 2019. Everyone smiling. My mother, Patricia, in the center. My father, Douglas, standing behind her with his hand on her shoulder. My sister, Victoria, front and center, hands draped over my parents, perfectly positioned. And me, in the back row, slightly out of focus, like an afterthought. I used to think that was an accident, the photographer's mistake. I was wrong. That portrait was exactly what our family was. Victoria in the spotlight, and me in the background, providing support nobody acknowledged. My parents weren't monsters. That's what made it harder. Douglas Howley, 58, was a CPA at a mid-size accounting firm. He made about $92,000 a year. Practical, image-conscious. A man who measured success in numbers and appearances. Patricia, 56, had been an elementary school teacher until she retired in 2019 to focus on family, which really meant focus on Victoria. They weren't abusive in the traditional sense. My father never hit me, but when he drank, and he drank often, wine with dinner that turned into whiskey on weekends, his words hit harder than fists ever could. "Don't get cocky," he'd say when I made Dean's List. "You're good at memorizing things," my mother would say when I got into medical school, like it was some parlor trick instead of 8 years of brutal work. Victoria, though, when she got into law school, they threw a party for 40 people, posted about it 6 times on Facebook. My mother actually cried with pride. I told myself it didn't matter, that once I became a doctor, once I was saving lives and making real money, they'd finally see me as more than Victoria's responsible older sister. I was 3 months away from my MD 90 days, just finish MS4, graduate in May, start residency in July. I was so stupid. Let me tell you about medical school, because you need to understand what I was about to lose. 4 years at UMass Medical School in Worcester. 70-hour weeks. Anatomy lab at 5 a.m., smelling like formaldehyde, memorizing every nerve and vessel in the human body. Studying for Step 1 boards while Victoria posted party photos from Boston University. I scored 516 on my MCAT, 90th percentile. My Step 1 score was 238. Step 2 CK was 251. I wasn't just good, I was exceptional, and I was broke. I worked part-time as a medical scribe just to afford groceries. I took out the maximum federal student loans every year. By my final semester, I owed $185,000. I lived in a studio apartment in Somerville. One room, medical textbooks stacked on every surface, a second-hand coffee maker that only worked if you hit it twice, and one decoration, my UMass Medical School acceptance letter in a frame on the wall. Meanwhile, Victoria got a $2,000 monthly allowance from our parents, lived in a nice apartment in Back Bay with her boyfriend Austin, wore designer clothes, posted Instagram stories from networking events with champagne and catered hors d'oeuvres. I remember one night in November 2024. I'd just finished a 19-hour shift in the labor and delivery ward. Delivered my first baby. My hands were shaking from exhaustion and adrenaline. I wanted to call someone, Share the moment. I tried my mother. Voicemail. She was asleep. I checked Victoria's Instagram story. She was at some law school mixer in a $300 dress, holding a champagne flute. My father had commented, "So proud. I'd saved a life that night. She'd drunk free wine." I told myself I didn't care, that I wasn't jealous, that their approval didn't matter. But I was lying to myself. Of course it mattered. We all want our parents to see us, to celebrate us, to believe in us the way they believed in Victoria. I had 3 months left, 12 weeks, 90 days until I'd walk across that stage, get my MD, match into an emergency medicine residency, finally become Dr. Lucille Howley. I could see the finish line. I didn't know Victoria was about to blow it all up. Thanksgiving 2025, November 28th through 30th. The last family gathering before everything collapsed. It was the usual dynamic. My parents asked Victoria about law school for 20 minutes straight. "How's your constitutional law seminar? Have you heard back from firms? When do you take the bar exam?" Then they turned to me. "How's school?" I said, "Good. I'm on my pediatrics rotation." My father nodded. That was it. 30 seconds. Then back to Victoria. I noticed she seemed off that weekend, distracted, checking her phone constantly, stepping outside for mysterious calls. When I asked if she was okay, she said, "Just 3L stress, bar exam anxiety, you know how it is." I didn't, actually. I'd never seen her this nervous before. On Sunday night, she asked to borrow my laptop. "Citation emergency," she said. "My laptop's dead and I need to fix a footnote in my seminar paper." I said sure. Why wouldn't I? She was my sister. I remember her sitting at the kitchen table at 11 p.m., everyone else in the living room watching football. Her hands were shaking slightly as she typed. I noticed, but I thought it was the stress she'd mentioned. Law school, bar prep, normal stuff. What I didn't know, while I was in the other room, she was accessing my bank account. My laptop had auto-saved passwords. I'd never thought to turn that feature off. Why would I? It was family. When she left that night, she hugged me longer than usual, looked at me with something that might have been guilt, might have been fear. She whispered, "You're really nice to me, like, nicer than I deserve." I laughed. "You're my sister. That's literally my job." She said, "I'm sorry." I said, "For what?" "Nothing," she said, louder now. Fake smile. "Just, thanks for the laptop." That was the last time I hugged my sister as someone who still believed in her. The last time before I learned exactly what those shaking hands had been doing. January 4th, 2026. 11:23 p.m. I was in my apartment in Somerville checking my student email before bed. There was a message from the UMass Bursar's office. "Your spring 2026 tuition payment of $31,500 is past due." I frowned. That didn't make sense. My spring semester loan refund should have covered tuition with money left over for living expenses. I logged into my bank account to check the balance. Expected balance: over $50,000. My spring loan refund of $32,000, plus the $18,000 I'd saved from scholarships, graduation gifts, and years of part-time work. Actual balance: $847.32. I refreshed the page, thought it was a glitch, cleared my browser cache, logged out, logged back in. Same number, $847.32. Then I clicked on transaction history. December 3rd through December 15th, 13 withdrawals. Amounts I didn't recognize: $4,800, $3,200, $5,000, $4,100. All at times I wasn't at my computer. All from locations I'd never been. My hands started shaking. Not like Victoria's had at Thanksgiving. Worse. I called the bank's fraud hotline at 11:30 p.m. The automated system said my wait time was 45 minutes. I waited. I didn't sleep. At 2:17 a.m., I finally spoke to a human. "Ma'am," the fraud specialist said, "I'm showing 13 unauthorized transactions between December 3rd and December 15th, totaling $50,000 from your student loan refund account. The transactions were made incrementally. None exceeded $6,000, which is why our automated fraud detection didn't flag them. Where did they come from?" My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. "IP address 173.68.207.142, registered to Cox Communications, Boston area. Specifically, 127 Commonwealth Avenue." My stomach dropped. I knew that address. Victoria's apartment building in Back Bay. "The device used," the specialist continued, "matches a previously authorized login from November 30th. November 30th? The day after Thanksgiving. The day I'd driven back to Worcester. The day after Victoria used my laptop. Can you send me the detailed transaction logs?" "Of course. I'm also freezing the account pending investigation. Do you want to file a formal fraud claim?" I opened my mouth, closed it. "I need to make a call first." I spent the rest of that night creating a spreadsheet. 13 rows, date, time, amount, IP address, every transaction from Victoria's apartment, every theft documented. I saved it as evidence underscore VH underscore January 2026.xlsx. The VH stood for Victoria Howley, though typing her name felt like swallowing glass. At 6 a.m., I checked my credit report. Something I did quarterly, good financial practice for a future doctor. I'd had a 748 credit score. I was proud of that. The report loaded. 2 new credit cards I'd never applied for. Capital One Venture. $15,000 limit. Opened December 2nd. Chase Sapphire Reserve. $18,000 limit. Opened December 5th. Both maxed out within days. My credit score? 580. I requested copies of the applications. Expedited shipping. They arrived January 7th in a FedEx envelope. I opened them with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. There, on the signature line above my typed name, was Victoria's handwriting. That distinctive looping script I'd seen on birthday cards my entire life. The same handwriting that signed "Love Vicky" on Christmas presents. Capital One Venture. $4,200 to DraftKings. $3,800 to FanDuel Casino. $2,600 to Neiman Marcus. $4,400 to Saks Fifth Avenue. Chase Sapphire. Reserve. More of the same. Gambling sites. Luxury retail. Total fraudulent charges. $33,000. Grand total stolen from my accounts. $83,000. This wasn't just theft. This was identity theft. Wire fraud. Federal crimes. I should have called the police right then. Filed a fraud report. Protected myself. But I couldn't. Because Victoria was my sister. And calling the police meant admitting she'd destroyed me. January 9th, 10 a.m. I drove from Worcester to Victoria's apartment. 22 minutes if there's no traffic. I made it in 18. I'd rehearsed what to say. Calm. Direct. Give her a chance to explain. Maybe there was some explanation I hadn't thought of. She answered the door in pajamas. Austin was at work. Her face cycled through expressions when she saw me. Surprise, confusion, then something like trapped recognition. "Lucy, what are you doing here?" I held up my phone, showed her the bank statement. "I need you to explain this." "Explain what?" But her voice was already defensive. 13 withdrawals from my student loan account, from your IP address, from my laptop that you used at Thanksgiving. She tried denial first. That's crazy. Someone must have hacked both of us. I showed her the credit card applications, her handwriting. She crumbled, sank onto her couch, and started crying. Not sad crying, desperate, cornered crying. I'm sick, Lucy. I have a problem. A real addiction. Gambling. I know that sounds like an excuse, but it's true. I can't stop. I've tried. I need help. You need to tell Mom and Dad, I said. My voice was cold. I barely recognized it. Right now. Today. And you need to start paying me back. I can't tell them. Her voice rose. It'll destroy them. Dad's whole thing is family reputation. If anyone finds out his daughter has a gambling problem and stole from family. And Austin, if he finds out, he'll leave me. The firm does background checks. If there's any hint of this, they'll rescind my offer. My entire life will be over. My life is over, Victoria. I can't pay tuition. I graduate in 4 months. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. And I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not remorse. Calculation. I'll get a loan, she said. I'll borrow from Austin. I'll figure it out. Just give me 2 weeks. Please. Don't tell anyone yet. Don't file a police report. Why would I? Because if you do, I'll go to jail. The bar won't admit anyone with a felony. Everything I've worked for will be gone. Her voice dropped. So either you give me time to fix this, or you'll have to live with what happens to me. Are you threatening to hurt yourself? I'm telling you, I can't survive this getting out. I stared at my sister, the golden child, the one my parents had chosen over me again and again, and she was asking me to choose her too, to sacrifice my medical career to protect her from the consequences of stealing from me. I made a choice. I gave her 2 weeks, until January 26th. Time to tell our parents herself, to get help, to start making it right. It was the worst decision of my life. January 9th through January 26th. Victoria texted me daily, looking into rehab programs. Talk to a financial counselor. I love you. Thank you for believing in me. Meanwhile, I was frantically trying to get emergency funding. I contacted UMass Financial Aid, denied due to my suddenly destroyed credit score. Applied to private student loans, denied. Called 4 relatives asking for a $31,500 loan. Uncle George never called back. Aunt Carol said her finances were tight. 2 cousins didn't even respond. On January 15th, my tuition was officially late. I called the bursar's office, begged for an extension. They gave me until February 7th, with a $500 late fee. I had 3 weeks to come up with $31,500, or I'd be withdrawn from medical school 3 months before graduation. January 26th arrived. Victoria's deadline. I waited by my phone all day. No call. No text. At 8:47 p.m., I texted her. Did you tell them? 3 minutes of typing indicator. Then, I couldn't do it. I'm not ready. I need more time. We're out of time. I have 12 days until the final deadline. I know, I'm sorry. I'll tell them tomorrow. I promise. Tomorrow came. No call. I tried calling her. Straight to voicemail. January 27th. I drove back to her apartment. She wouldn't answer the door. Later that night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Victoria. She'd blocked my regular number. The message said, I need more time, please. I didn't respond. January 29th. I drove to my parents' house in Newton. I'd tried calling. They wouldn't answer. Victoria had gotten to them first. When I arrived, the atmosphere was cold. They sat me down in the living room like an intervention. Douglas spoke first. Victoria called us. She's very worried about you. She said you're having some kind of breakdown from medical school stress, that you're making serious accusations because you can't handle the pressure. I pulled out my phone. showed them the bank statements. She stole $50,000 from my student loan account between December 3rd and December 15th from her apartment. These are the IP logs. Patricia looked at the screen, then away. These could be photoshopped. Anyone can fake documents these days. I showed them the credit card applications, Victoria's handwriting. Douglas barely glanced at them. If this were real, you would have already filed a police report. Are you willing to send your own sister to jail? That question. Designed to make me the villain. Designed to make wanting justice seem cruel. I need help with tuition, I said. I'm 3 months from graduating. Victoria stole the money I needed. I just need you to make her give it back. We already funded Victoria's entire law school education, Douglas said. Almost $95,000. We can't afford to bail you out too. This isn't bailing me out. She stole from me. Patricia's voice was sharp. We're not giving you money based on accusations we don't believe. If Victoria really did this, which I absolutely do not believe, then you need to handle it through proper legal channels. So you're choosing her. Douglas stood up. We're choosing to protect this family from your baseless drama. I looked at the family portrait on the wall behind them. Everyone smiling. Perfect family. I walked out at 8:47 p.m. I didn't cry until I got to my car. By 9:15 p.m. I'd stopped crying, and I'd made a decision. I wasn't filing a police report. Not yet. First, I was going to let them feel safe. Let Victoria think she'd won. Let my parents enjoy their golden child. And then, when they invited everyone they knew to watch them humiliate me one more time, I was going to burn it all down. February 3rd, 2026, 8 p.m. I went back to Victoria's apartment. This time, I brought Jenna Palmer. Jenna had been my roommate during MS1 and MS2. Now she was a pediatric resident at Boston Children's Hospital. We'd stayed close. She was one of 3 people who knew what Victoria had done. And when I asked her to come with me as a witness, she didn't hesitate. Are you sure about this? She asked in the car. I need someone to document what she says. Someone they can't dismiss as biased. Victoria answered the door in yoga pants and a BU Law sweatshirt. When she saw Jenna, her face went wary. What's going on? We need to talk, I said. And this time, you're going to tell the truth. We sat in her living room. Expensive West Elm furniture I now realized was bought with my money. A shopping bag from Saks on the couch, tag still on. I gave her an ultimatum. You tell Mom and Dad the truth tonight by 9 p.m., or I file a police report tomorrow morning. She tried the suicide threat again. If you do this, I'll kill myself. I will. I didn't flinch. Then I'm calling 911 right now and having you placed on a 72-hour psychiatric hold. She realized I wasn't bluffing, and then she broke. Completely. You want the truth? Fine. I'm glad I took it. You've always been so fucking perfect. Perfect grades, perfect MCAT, medical school. Everyone's saying Lucille's going to be a doctor, while I had to fight for every scrap of attention. I kept my voice level. So, this wasn't an accident. I saw that money just sitting there in your account and I thought, why not? Why should you have everything when I'm drowning? You just said you're glad you did it. She looked at Jenna then, saw her taking notes on her phone. She's twisting my words. I'm documenting your confession, Jenna said calmly. Massachusetts is one-party consent. Everything you're saying is being recorded in these notes with timestamps. Victoria collapsed. I'm sick. I need help. Please. Lucy. You have until 6 p.m. tomorrow, I said. Tell Mom and Dad, or I file charges. February 4th, 6 p.m. came and went. No call from my parents. At 6:05 p.m., I got a text from Victoria. A screenshot of her phone settings, showing she'd blocked my number. Below it, one word, goodbye. That's when I knew. She'd chosen war. February 7th, 2026, 4:47 p.m. I was sitting in my apartment staring at my laptop screen. The email was addressed to Dean Morrison at UMass Medical School. Subject line: Withdrawal request, Lucille M. Howley, MS4. The body of the email said, Dear Dean Morrison, due to unforeseen financial circumstances, I am officially withdrawing from UMass Medical School effective immediately. 2 sentences. That's all it took to end 8 years of work. I clicked send at 4:49 p.m., 11 minutes before the final deadline. The automated response came back immediately. Your withdrawal has been processed. Please contact the registrar's office to complete exit paperwork. Just like that, I stopped being a medical student. February 8th, my last day at UMass. I returned my white coat to the bookstore. The name tag was still pinned to it. Lucille Howley, MS4. The coat I'd waited 22 years to earn. The coat I'd worn for less than 4 years. I cleaned out my locker in the clinical skills lab. My Littmann stethoscope. I'd saved for 6 months to buy it. My annotated copy of Harrison's Principles of Internal Medicine. All the tools of a profession I'd never practice. In the hallway, I saw classmates preparing for match day, the day in March when they'd find out where they'd do their residencies. I'd submitted 15 applications before this all happened. Emergency medicine, 6 interviews scheduled, all canceled now. Dr. Morrison found me in the hallway. She was in her early 50s, kind eyes, had always believed in me. Lucille, I'm so sorry to see you go. You were one of our strongest students. Is there anything we can do? I couldn't tell her the truth. Couldn't say, my sister stole my tuition money to pay off her gambling debts, and my parents chose to believe her lies instead of my evidence. No, I said, but thank you. For everything. The door isn't closed forever. If circumstances change, we'd welcome you back. I nodded. But I knew the truth. I'd never be able to afford to come back. I owed $185,000 for an education I didn't complete. Starting in August, I'd owe $1,850 a month. For 10 years. For a degree I'd never receive. I sat in my car in the medical school parking lot for 43 minutes. Couldn't turn the key. Couldn't move. My phone buzzed. Victoria's Instagram story, posted at 7:03 p.m., photo of her in Austin at Atlantic Fish Company, an expensive seafood restaurant in Boston. Caption, celebrating small wins. Posted the exact day I lost everything, small wins. The next 10 days were a blur of desperation. I applied to 67 jobs, medical research coordinator positions, clinical trial roles, even medical scribe positions, the same work I'd done before medical school. I got 12 interviews. At every single one, they asked, why did you leave medical school so close to graduation? I couldn't tell them the truth. It sounded insane, unprofessional, like family drama. So I said, unforeseen financial hardship, or family emergency. Both true, both vague, both red flags that made them think, unstable, poor judgment, can't handle stress. On February 22nd at 11:47 p.m., I got a job offer. Biogenesis Solutions, a small biotech startup in Cambridge, medical research coordinator, $68,500 a year. It was $180,000 less than I'd make as an attending physician. It was $8,000 less than a first-year resident's salary. But it was a job. I signed the offer letter while sitting on my apartment floor, surrounded by unpaid bills and medical school loan statements. I started on February 24th. The same day, Victoria posted final semester season with aesthetic photos of Northeastern Law's library. The same day, my mother texted the family group chat. So proud of Victoria for staying focused despite all the family drama lately. I left the group chat. No one noticed. March 1st. My mother called. First time since I'd walked out of their house on February 4th. Your father and I have decided to throw you a birthday party, she said. March 15th. We think it's important to show family solidarity even though things have been tense. We'll invite relatives and some friends. It'll be good for you. I should have said no, but I said yes, because I'd been collecting evidence for 3 weeks, and I needed an audience. February 24th through March 14th. I lived 2 lives. During the day, I was Lucille, the research coordinator. I reviewed phase 2 trial data for a pancreatic cancer drug. I attended lab meetings. I brought coffee for colleagues. I smiled and acted normal. At night, I became something else. I organized 89 pieces of evidence into folders on my phone, bank statements, credit card applications, screenshots of Victoria's Venmo transactions to DraftKings and FanDuel, IP address logs, the credit report showing my destroyed score, text messages where she'd promised to make it right, emails where she'd begged me not to tell. I researched federal fraud law, wire fraud, 18 U.S.C. Section 1343, identity theft, 18 U.S.C. Section 1028, bank fraud, 18 U.S.C. Section 1344. Each one carried 2 to 5 years in federal prison. I consulted with an attorney, Philip Grayson, criminal defense, white-collar crimes. You have sufficient evidence for multiple federal charges, he told me on March 5th. But I need to ask, what's your goal? Prison time? Restitution? Public vindication? All of it. Then use the party to establish witnesses. Create a public record of her lies, then file criminal charges afterward. Shock and awe. How long could she go to prison? With the amounts involved and the identity theft? If they stack charges, potentially up to 20 years. Realistically, as a first offender, probably 3 to 5 years plus restitution. I created a folder on my phone labeled March 15th. Inside, 89 files. Everything numbered, everything dated, everything ready. Meanwhile, Victoria's life was flourishing. On March 8th, Austin proposed. She posted engagement photos, diamond ring, at least 2 carats, sunset at the seaport. Caption, I said yes to forever. Can't believe I get to marry my best friend. 340 likes in 2 hours. My parents' Facebook. Our Victoria is engaged to wonderful Austin Crawford. Couldn't be happier for our future attorney. 67 likes, 34 comments. Congratulations. She deserves all the happiness. Beautiful couple. The Newton Tab, our local newspaper, ran an engagement announcement. Douglas and Patricia Howley of Newton are pleased to announce the engagement of their daughter, Victoria Marie Howley, to Austin James Crawford. Ms. Howley is completing her JD at Northeastern University School of Law and will join Whitmore and Associates LLP. Mr. Crawford is an attorney at Brennan and Associates. A summer 2027 wedding is planned. My name wasn't mentioned. The other daughter was invisible. I cut out the announcement, added it to my evidence board. The engagement was perfect timing, not for her, for me. Because now at my birthday party, everyone would be congratulating her, asking about wedding venues, admiring the ring. Everyone would be watching when I set it all on fire. March 13th, 2:47 p.m. Victoria texted me from her new number. Okay, so I'm trying to decide between these two for your party. She sent photos of 2 expensive outfits. The dress is more formal, but the romper is cute and springy. What do you think? I stared at my phone. My sister, who'd stolen $83,000 from me and destroyed my medical career, was asking fashion advice for my birthday party. Either works, I typed. It's casual. Okay, cool. Also, I wanted to say, I know things have been weird between us since you left school and stuff, but I'm really glad you're coming to this party. It means a lot to Mom and Dad. And to me. I miss my sister. I looked at those words for a full minute. Then I typed, I miss you too. The first time I'd lied to Victoria. It felt surprisingly easy. March 15th, 2026. I woke up at 6 a.m. The party didn't start until 6 p.m. I went for a 5-mile run, came back, showered, made coffee, reviewed my evidence folder one more time. I didn't need to. I'd memorized every file, but it was ritual now. At 2 p.m., I ate a turkey sandwich. Tasted like cardboard. At 4 p.m., I got dressed. Simple Target dress, $89. Deliberately understated. I didn't want to look like I was trying too hard. I packed my purse. iPhone fully charged. Evidence folder loaded. Printed bank statements in a manila folder. 22 pages. Flash drive on my keychain as backup. Attorney Grayson's business card. Tissues. Lipstick. Everything I needed. At 5:30 p.m., I drove to Newton. No music, no podcast, just breathing. I parked 3 houses down from my parents at 5:57 p.m., sat in my car for 8 minutes. I could still turn around, drive home, file a police report Monday morning, let the legal system handle it quietly. But quiet justice meant my parents would never face what they'd done. Victoria would spin it as Lucy's vindictiveness. Everyone would believe her. I'd be the bitter sister who couldn't let go. No, I needed witnesses. I got out of the car at 6:05 p.m. Through the window, I could see guests arriving. Aunts, uncles, parents' friends. I could hear laughter. Music. The Eagles, my father's favorite. My mother's voice giving instructions. I rang the doorbell. Patricia opened it. Her smile was tight. Oh, you're here. Like she'd half hoped I wouldn't come. I wouldn't miss this for the world, I said, and I meant it. The living room was decorated with half-hearted effort. 26 balloons from Party City, a folding table with Costco appetizer platters, cheap wine and beer in a cooler, 32 guests. I counted. Extended family, my parents' neighbors, church friends, Douglas's colleagues from the accounting firm, 3 of Victoria's law school friends I'd never met, and Austin, looking happy and clueless in a button-down and khakis. And there, by the kitchen, was Jenna. She'd arrived early, blending in, talking to Aunt Carol about pediatrics residency. We made eye contact across the room. She nodded slightly. Ready. I nodded back. Soon. Victoria rushed over immediately. Performance for the witnesses. Lucy, happy birthday! I'm so glad you came. She hugged me tight. I could smell her perfume, expensive, bought with my money. She handed me a gift bag, Godiva chocolates, a Hallmark card, $23 worth of performative guilt. Thank you, I said. Austin shook my hand. Nice to finally meet you. Victoria's told me so much about you. I wondered what she'd told him. Probably that I was unstable, a dropout, someone who couldn't handle pressure. All good things, I hope, I said. Aunt Carol approached. Lucille, sweetheart, how are you? We heard you're taking a break from medical school? Something like that? Well, that's perfectly fine. Not everyone is cut out for that kind of pressure. My friend's daughter dropped out of dental school and she's very happy in pharmaceutical sales now. I smiled, didn't reach my eyes. You're right. Some things aren't meant to be. She looked uncomfortable, wandered away. I stood beneath the family portrait, looked up at my own smiling face from 2019. Mrs. Henderson, our neighbor, noticed. What a beautiful family you have, she said. I looked at her, at the portrait, back at her. It really is something, isn't it? The next 30 minutes were a masterclass in humiliation. Guests congratulated Victoria. Let me see the ring. Oh my God, it's stunning. When's the wedding? You're graduating in 2 months. How exciting. A corporate law position right out of school? That's amazing. Meanwhile, they offered me condolences disguised as encouragement. Medical school isn't for everyone, dear. It takes real courage to walk away. What are you doing now? I'm a medical research coordinator, oncology trials. Oh, that's nice. Probably more regular hours than being an actual doctor. Mr. Dalton, one of my father's colleagues, turned to Victoria. Your father tells me you're starting at Whitmore and Associates in the fall. That's tremendous. Victoria laughed, touching her ring. I feel so blessed. Austin and I are looking at venues, thinking Four Seasons or maybe the castle at Park Plaza. Mr. Dalton turned to me. And you're figuring things out? I'm working in medical research. Probably less stress than being an actual doctor, right? He chuckled. Victoria jumped in. Lucy's always been more low-key than me. She's not as type A, you know? And that's totally okay. Not everyone needs to be super ambitious. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You're right, I said. I'm not ambitious enough to commit federal crimes against my own family. Victoria's laugh was nervous. What? Nothing. Inside joke. Mr. Dalton walked away quickly. At 6:42 p.m., my mother clinked a wine glass with a knife. Everyone, we're going to do cake in a few minutes. Douglas is getting it from the kitchen. Victoria grabbed my hand, squeezed. This is really nice, right? Everyone together? I squeezed back. It's perfect. At 6:45 p.m., my father emerged from the kitchen. He'd been drinking since 5 p.m. I'd counted. 3 glasses of wine, 2 whiskeys. He was unsteady but coherent. He carried the cake. Custom design from a Newton bakery. $120. White buttercream frosting. A medical stethoscope drawn in blue icing. A thick red X slashed through it. Happy 26th Lucille, piped underneath in red letters. My mother had ordered it. She thought it was funny. A light-hearted joke about me, moving on from medicine. Some guests laughed nervously. Most looked uncomfortable. Victoria covered her mouth. Oh my God, Mom, that's kind of funny. Austin looked confused. Jenna, across the room, looked horrified. My face stayed absolutely still. Douglas set the cake on the dining table. 26 candles around the edges. He stepped back like a proud artist. Special cake, he announced. Patricia's brilliant idea. Figured if you can't be a doctor, at least we can laugh about it. Patricia kept filming on her phone. For Facebook. Documentation of this fun family moment. Douglas raised his wine glass. His 6th drink. Let's celebrate 26 years, even if she couldn't finish what she started. Polite applause. And then he did something I didn't expect. He picked up the cake again, lifted it high, and smashed it down onto the floor. The ceramic plate shattered. Cake exploded across the hardwood. White frosting everywhere. Red icing that looked like blood. Guests gasped. My father stepped closer to me, got in my face, screamed. No cake for this useless dropout. You wasted all our money and shamed this family like a pathetic coward. The room went dead silent. Patricia was still filming. Her hand was shaking. Victoria was trying not to smile. 32 witnesses stared. Some at the destroyed cake on the floor. Some at my drunk father. Most at me. Waiting for me to cry, to run away, to be the good scapegoat and disappear. I looked at the cake on the floor, looked at Victoria, looked at my parents, and I smiled. I stood up slowly, and I said the words I'd been practicing for 10 days. Funny. Let my sister stand up and tell everyone why she's been lying about me this whole time. Victoria's face went white. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone, opened the evidence folder, held it so people nearby could see the screen. Victoria Howley, financial fraud and identity theft, 89 files. I'm giving you a chance, I said calmly. The same chance you gave me in January. Tell them the truth, or I will. I don't know what your January 9th, 2026. Your apartment. You told me you stole money from my student loan account. You begged me not to tell mom and dad. You promised you'd pay me back. You said you had a gambling problem. Victoria's voice rose. That's not... You're lying. Am I? I held up my phone, turned it toward the room. Because I have your confession right here. Text messages, bank statements, credit card applications, witness testimony from someone in this room. Douglas tried to sound authoritative. Failed. Lucille. Enough. This is inappropriate. I ignored him completely. Kept my eyes locked on Victoria. Tell them, right now, or I show everyone everything. Victoria looked at our parents, then at Austin. His face was starting to change, confused to concerned to horrified. She opened her mouth, closed it. I need air. She started toward the front door. I stepped in front of it. Sit down, Victoria. We're not done yet. 6:51 p.m. I blocked the door. Victoria was trapped in the center of the room. I began. Methodical. Clinical. On December 3rd, 2025, at 2:47 p.m., someone accessed my bank account from IP address 173.68.207.142. Registered to Cox Communications, 127 Commonwealth Avenue, Boston, Victoria's apartment building. I showed my phone screen. Zoomed to the IP log. Guests leaned in. Between December 3rd and December 15th, this person made 13 withdrawals from my student loan refund account. Amounts ranging from $2,000 to $5,000 each. I showed the bank statement. Transactions highlighted. Audible gasps. Total stolen, $50,000. Victoria tried. That doesn't prove it was me. Someone could have hacked both of us. I pulled out the manila folder, held up printed documents. On December 2nd and December 5th, this same person opened 2 credit cards in my name, using my social security number, my date of birth, my address. I held up the applications. Capital One Venture. Chase Sapphire Reserve. Total credit limits, $33,000. Both maxed out within 10 days. Austin's face changed. He recognized that handwriting. Purchase history. I read from my phone. December 3rd, $4,200 to DraftKings online casino. December 4th, $3,800 to FanDuel casino. December 5th, $2,600 to Neiman Marcus. December 7th, $4,400 to Saks Fifth Avenue. You're making this up, Victoria screamed. You photoshopped. I have physical copies from the credit bureaus, certified. I held up more pages. Would you like to see them? Aunt Carol whispered. Oh my God. Patricia tried. This is insane. Victoria wouldn't... I continued. Didn't acknowledge her. Chase Sapphire Reserve, $18,000 limit. Similar pattern. Gambling sites. Luxury retail. Total fraudulent charges. $33,000. I paused. Let it land. Grand total stolen from my accounts. $83,000. Austin stepped back from Victoria. Gambling platforms? Baby, what is she talking about? Victoria turned to him, desperate. This is crazy. She's lying. She's having some kind of breakdown. I wasn't done. February 3rd, 2026, 8:15 p.m. Your apartment. You confessed everything to me in front of a witness. Victoria's face went from red to white. Recording me without consent is illegal. Massachusetts is one-party consent, but I didn't record. I pointed across the room. My witness took detailed notes. Jenna stepped forward, professional, calm, pulled out her phone. February 3rd, 2026, 8:17 p.m. She read in her clinical pediatrician voice. Victoria Howley's apartment, Back Bay, Boston. Present, Victoria Howley, Lucille Howley, Jenna Palmer, M.D. Victoria stated, and I quote, "Okay, I took it. Are you happy? I'm a fuck up. I have a gambling problem. If you report me, my life is over. The bar won't admit me. Austin will leave. Mom and Dad will never forgive me." The room went dead silent. Jenna continued. 8:19 p.m. Victoria states, "I'll pay you back over 10 years. $500 a month. Please, Lucy, I'm begging you." 8:23 p.m. Victoria states, "I'm sick. I need help. I can't go to jail. I'll kill myself if this gets out." Jenna looked up. End of notes. Signed, Dr. Jenna Palmer, M.D. Victoria screamed at her. "You bitch! You set me up!" Jenna didn't flinch. "I witnessed a confession. I documented it. That's what physicians do." Austin stepped physically away from Victoria. "Wait. You have a gambling problem? You told me you'd never lied to me about anything important." Victoria turned to him. "No, she's making this up. They're both—" "Then why do I recognize your handwriting on those credit card applications?" Douglas's voice shook, no longer drunk confident. "Victoria, look at me. Tell me this isn't true." Victoria looked at her father. "Daddy, Tell me it's not true." Victoria collapsed into a chair, sobbing. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It started small. I was so stressed with law school and I thought I could win it back." Patricia whispered. "Oh my God, she's admitting it." 7:03 p.m. Austin had been standing in shock. Now pieces were clicking together. "Last month," he said slowly, "you asked me to co-sign a $15,000 loan. You said it was for bar exam prep." Victoria nodded frantically. "It was— How much gambling debt do you have?" "I don't— It's paid off now." "How much did you have?" "It's handled. I used—" She stopped, realized. Austin's face changed, horror dawning. "You used her money. Lucille's student loan money. The money she needed to graduate from medical school." He looked at me, calm, composed, surrounded by evidence, then back at Victoria, hysterical, cornered, caught. "You told me Lucille quit because she couldn't handle the pressure. You told me she'd always been unstable. You said she was jealous of you." Victoria tried to touch him. He stepped back like she was contagious. "No," he said quietly. "She's really not jealous." "Is she?" He walked to Victoria, held out his hand. Confused, hopeful, she gave him the engagement ring. He pocketed it, walked to the door. I stepped aside. He turned back one last time. "I'm an attorney, Victoria. I know what wire fraud looks like, what identity theft looks like, what federal crimes look like. You committed multiple felonies against your own sister, and you let me believe she was the problem." He looked at me. "I'm sorry for not seeing this." He looked at Victoria. "Don't call me. Don't text me. We're done." He walked out. The door closed. A car started outside. Gone. Victoria screamed. "Look what you did! You ruined my life!" I felt ice in my voice. "No, you ruined mine. I'm just returning the favor." My father finally spoke. His voice was smaller, older, sober now. "Why didn't you tell us immediately, when you first found out?" I looked at the man who'd just called me a useless dropout, who'd screamed "pathetic coward" in my face, who'd smashed my birthday cake on the floor in front of 32 people. "I did tell you. January 29th. You called me a liar and chose her. So I decided to wait until you couldn't." I turned my full attention to my parents. "You asked me if I was willing to send my own sister to jail, but you never asked if you were willing to destroy your own daughter's medical career to protect a lie." I pulled up text messages on my phone. January 18th. I begged you for help with tuition. You said no. I showed the family group chat. February 15th. You posted about how proud you are of Victoria. The same week I was withdrawing from medical school. I showed Patricia's Facebook. You celebrated her engagement while I was losing everything. Douglas tried. We didn't know it was really... You didn't want to know. Knowing would have been inconvenient. Knowing would have meant admitting your golden child committed federal crimes. Knowing would have meant choosing truth over comfort. You chose comfort. Patricia was crying. We thought you were lying. Victoria said you were having a breakdown. Based on what? Her word versus mine? Why was her word automatically more valuable? Silence. Aunt Carol spoke up, loudly. Patty, she's right. You always did this. Always believed Victoria over Lucille. Murmurs of agreement. That's true. I always thought. Poor Lucille. Uncle George, who'd ignored my desperate voicemail asking for a loan, said quietly, I should have lent you the money when you called. I'm sorry. Patricia looked at me, between hatred and devastation. We did our best, Lucille. I almost laughed. Your best was a joke cake and public humiliation. Your best was choosing the child who lied over the child who told the truth. Your best destroyed my medical career. I paused. Let it sink in. I'm filing criminal charges Monday morning. Wire fraud, identity theft, bank fraud, federal charges. Victoria's going to have a criminal record. She'll never practice law. Ever. Victoria, desperate, tried one final manipulation. If you file charges, I'll kill myself. I will. I didn't flinch. No, you won't. You said that in January to manipulate me. It worked then. It won't work now. How can you be so cold? I learned from you. She turned to the room. Last desperate appeal. She's doing this because she's jealous. She's always been jealous that I'm smarter, prettier, more successful. Cousin Amanda interrupted. You stole her medical degree. There's nothing successful about that. Victoria's purse had fallen over. Contents spilled on the floor. Uncle George bent down, picked something up. A printed document. Massachusetts bar application. Character and fitness section. Question 23. Have you ever been charged with or convicted of any crime? Victoria's answer, in her handwriting, no. I took it from him, held it up. This is perjury. Lying on a bar application. Even if you're not convicted yet, you're supposed to disclose pending investigations. When I file my police report Monday, this becomes a false statement. I looked at Victoria. You won't just face criminal charges. You won't be admitted to practice law. Not in Massachusetts. Not anywhere. Your legal career is over. 7:18 p.m. I'd said everything I came to say. I put my phone back in my purse, straightened my dress, looked at the room one final time. 32 witnesses. Some crying, some angry, most shocked. The cake still on the floor. Stepped on. Ground into the hardwood. Victoria collapsed in a chair, clutching the engagement ring Austin had returned, sobbing. My parents standing apart. Douglas staring at nothing. Patricia weeping. Guests starting to leave, mumbling excuses. This is family business. We should go. Jenna approached. Do you want me to drive you home? No. I'm good. Thank you for being here. I walked to the door, paused, turned back. You asked why I said yes to this party, because I wanted you to see what you raised, not just Victoria, a thief and a liar, but me. The daughter you underestimated for 26 years, the one you thought would stay quiet forever, the one who would accept blame and be grateful for scraps. I paused. I wanted you to see what happens when the scapegoat stops accepting shame. I looked at Victoria. I'll see you in court. I walked out, got in my car, sat in the driver's seat. Through the rearview mirror, I watched the house. Guests streaming out early. The party collapsed. everything breaking apart. I watched for 30 seconds. Then I started the car and drove away. I drove home to Somerville in complete silence. No music, no crying, just breathing. When I got to my apartment at 8:03 p.m., I sat on the couch in the dark for an hour without moving. My phone buzzed 47 times, texts from relatives, former med school classmates, people I hadn't heard from in years. I didn't read them. Instead, I opened my laptop, pulled up a document I'd drafted 3 weeks ago, police report template. I started filling it in. Complainant, Lucille Marie Howley. Nature of crime, wire fraud, identity theft, bank fraud. Suspect, Victoria Marie Howley. Relationship to complainant. I paused at that line, typed, Sister. Some facts don't change, no matter how much you wish they would. March 18th, 2026, 8:47 a.m. I walked into the Newton Police Department. I need to file a report about identity theft, wire fraud, and bank fraud, I told the officer at the front desk. Federal crimes. I have evidence. He handed me forms. I sat in the lobby and filled them out. Every line, every detail, every dollar. The police took my statement. 2.5 hours. They copied all 89 files of evidence. March 19th through 22nd, the Newton police reviewed everything, then referred the case to the FBI. Federal jurisdiction, $83,000 in wire fraud. March 23rd, the FBI assigned it to their white-collar crime division. The same day, Whitmore and Associates LLP received an inquiry from the Massachusetts Bar Association during Victoria's background check. They rescinded her job offer. Email sent at 2:47 p.m. Due to circumstances affecting character and fitness requirements, we must withdraw our offer of employment. Victoria's legal career ended before it began. March 26th, FBI Special Agent Rachel Bennett called me. March 27th, I gave 3 hours of testimony at the FBI Boston field office, provided all 89 files, Jenna's witness statement, everything. This is one of the most well-documented fraud cases I've seen from a civilian victim, Agent Bennett said. I have to ask, why did you wait from January to March to file? I wanted her to feel safe first. I wanted her to think she'd gotten away with it. Why? So she'd have further to fall? March 28th, the FBI officially opened a criminal investigation. March 26th, Victoria's criminal defense attorney, hired by my parents, depleting their retirement savings, contacted Philip Grayson with a settlement offer. Victoria would plead guilty to reduced charges, pay restitution, complete court-ordered treatment, if I agreed not to pursue additional civil damages. Initial offer, $83,000 over 15 years, $460 a month. I rejected it. I want $268,000. $83,000 she stole plus $185,000 in student loans I'm stuck with because of her. She took my career. She pays for it. Victoria's attorney. My client works retail. $15 an hour, she'll never have that money. Stalemate. I had a choice. Accept partial restitution. Victoria stays out of prison, gets a job, might actually pay over time, or push for maximum prosecution. Victoria gets 3 to 5 years in federal prison, but I might never see a dollar. I thought for 3 days. March 29th, I accepted a modified settlement. $120,000 over 20 years. Graduated payment structure. Years 1 to 2, $300 a month. Years 3 to 10, $650 a month. Years 11 to 20, $800 a month. Victoria pleads guilty to 1 count of felony fraud. Mandatory gambling addiction treatment for 12 months. No prison time if she stays compliant with payments and treatment. If she defaults, the deal's void. I can pursue full prosecution. She signed the agreement March 30th. She's going to be paying me back until she's 44 years old. Every month for 20 years, she'll write a check with my name on it. She'll remember what she did. That feels like justice. March 30th, I received an email from Dr. Helen Morrison. Subject: Readmission possibility, confidential. Lucille, I heard through channels what happened. If you're interested in returning to complete your MD, we have a pathway. You'd need to formally reapply for readmission for fall 2026. Restart MS4 from the beginning. It's not ideal, but it's possible. Application deadline is June 1st. Given your academic record and circumstances, I'd advocate strongly for you. You were one of our best students. We'd welcome you back. I printed the email, folded it, tucked it into my copy of Grey's Anatomy. I look at it sometimes. I haven't responded yet because I want to go back. I want to finish. I want to prove Victoria didn't destroy me permanently, but wanting and doing are different things. I don't have the $31,500 for tuition. Won't have it for years. Victoria's payments won't cover it for a long time. Maybe I could take out more loans. Maybe I could find a way. Or maybe I'm romanticizing something I should let go of. I don't know yet. June 1st is still weeks away. My parents reached out 3 more times. March 20th. Patricia texted, "Family therapy? We need to work through this together." I didn't respond. March 24th. Douglas emailed, "Your sister is having a breakdown because of what you did. When will your revenge be enough?" I blocked his email. March 29th. Aunt Carol called. "Your parents want to reconcile but don't know how. They're embarrassed." "They can start by admitting they were wrong," I said. Not, "Mistakes were made." Not, "We all made errors." They were wrong. Until then, I have nothing to say. Family relationships? Fractured. Possibly permanently. But I feel lighter. Not happy. Exactly. But free. Free from the burden of protecting people who never protected me. Free from being the family scapegoat. Free from silence. April 1st, 2026. I received a check in the mail. $300. From Victoria Howley. Memo line: restitution payment 1 of $240. I held it for a long time. Didn't cash it immediately. Put it on my refrigerator with a magnet. Evidence that justice, however imperfect, is possible. People ask if I regret it. Destroying my family at my own birthday party. Filing federal charges against my sister. Choosing the nuclear option. The answer is no. The only thing I regret is waiting so long. Giving Victoria chances she never deserved. Believing my parents would choose truth over comfort. I spent 26 years being the good daughter, the understanding sister, the one who sacrificed, the one who stayed quiet while they celebrated Victoria and tolerated me. I'm done. My name is Lucille Howley. I'm 26 years old. I don't know if I'll return to medical school. I don't know if Victoria will actually pay me back for 20 years. I don't know if I'll ever forgive my parents. What I know is this: I'm finally putting myself first, and that's the only ending that matters.